from Hamburg, Germany. Let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black, official weight 112 kilograms. A perfect professional record consisting of 20 fights, 20 victories, including 11 wins by knockout. He is the heavyweight fighting pride of Sofia, Bulgaria, the IBF #1 ranked heavyweight challenger in the world, the undefeated Kubrat, the Cobra Pulev. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing red, officially weighing in at 111.5 kilograms. This Olympic gold medal winner has a professional record consisting of 62 victories, including 53 knockouts, and undefeated for a decade, originally from Ukraine, but he lives and fights out of Hamburg, Germany, with the WBA, WBO, IBO, and IBF titles. He is universally recognized as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Dr. Steel Hammer, Wladimir Klitschko.
Wladimir Klitschko, Jim.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, you both received your instructions in the dressing room. Okay. He goes right here is okay. Anything below that's low. Right here is okay. Anything below that's low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
So Klitschko has faced many opponents in recent years who come into the ring with a certain degree of confidence, and within a couple rounds, that confidence dissipates as Klitschko unfurls his jab and that right hand behind it.
Klitschko awaiting the birth of his first child. Longtime paramour Hayden Panettiere expecting within a couple of weeks from now to deliver a daughter. He's been somewhat apprehensive in the build-up to the fight, worrying that the baby might be born before the fight takes place. Apparently that isn't the case so far. She's still on course for a couple of weeks from now, and now Vladimir's in there against Kubrat Pulev. And already Tony Weeks talks to the two of them and breaks them up, and of course some people were disappointed with the way the referee handled the Povetkin fight in Moscow. Tony Weeks has been flown into Hamburg for this one, and you can see that he's working already. Max, I wouldn't say that Tony Weeks is necessarily a restrictive activist referee, nor is he a let him go and let him fight kind of a guy. He's somewhere in the middle.
And Pulev here, he may have his hands full because Klitschko is using the clinch very early. Pulev here, opening bell, comes right at Klitschko, and he's fighting him the way once upon a time it was felt you had to fight Klitschko. You had to rough him up. You had to create some doubt in his mind about his ability to fight through a rough fight. You had to show Wladimir that he could be hit and hurt. It hasn't gone that way for Klitschko opponents in recent years. Klitschko has weathered the kind of storms they've been able to muster. But Pulev believes, obviously, early in this fight, that's what he has to do.
And a left hook lands for Klitschko, and down goes Pulev. 1 minute and 11 seconds into the fight.
And that's why it doesn't work.
And now Pulev mugging with Klitschko as if to say, look, I'm not hurt. but that was a solid left hook, which delivered exactly the same result as a lot of the other Klitschko left hooks, and now there are 2 knockdowns.
That's why you can't just give Klitschko the bum's rush. He's not the same guy who was knocked out repeatedly years ago.
2 knockdowns in the first round of Pulev, both of them by left hooks. Klitschko has found a hole in Kubrat Pulev's defense.
And I don't know why Pulev is standing in front of him here without any legs, badly hurt. Even if the idea is to rough Klitschko up, boy, you better clear your head.
There was a quote in a German newspaper, a reporter saying to Klitschko, do you think that Pulev is the toughest opponent in years? And Klitschko's response was, what if I knock him out in the first round? What will you think then? Got 48 seconds in which to still try to pull that off.
The problem with Klitschko now is you stay away and lean back as you see Pulev's weight's on his back foot.
Hard right hand by Wladimir.
Yeah, you're in line for that right hand that can knock you out. You come in and try to get inside the reach. That left hook was waiting for him and almost knocked him out.
Wladimir holding his left down below his waist, as though inviting Pulev to come to him. Lands a right hand again, and Pulev momentarily has to hold on. It's been a show of force in the first round. Stop. 10-7 round for Wladimir Klitschko after 2 left hook knockdowns of Kubrat Pulev.
Here's the first knockdown. Pulev with disdain for Klitschko's power. Klitschko comes in with the left hook. Actually, that was Klitschko coming to Pulev a little more than I originally thought. And then the second knockdown, Pulev never had his legs from the first knockdown. Here's a right hand. Luckily for Pulev, his weight was far back enough that most of the power was spent by the time it landed.
Those were 3 of the 8 punches Kopjabok found Klitschko landing in the first round out of only 20 thrown. Klitschko 8 of 20, Pulev 6 out of 18. 4 of Kubrat Pulev's 8 landed punches, or 6 landed punches, were power shots. 4 of Klitschko's 8 landed punches were power shots, 2 knockdowns. We go to round 2. Pulev lands a jab.
Pulev jabbing to the body. Probing Klitschko. Fighting at a much more measured distance than he did in the first round after those knockdowns. Pulev is.
Klitschko sticking his jab. Sometimes thunderous, sometimes tactical. And he gathers Pulev in as Kubrat comes to him.
Pulev with a couple of rabbit punches behind Klitschko's head.
Another right hand lands for Klitschko, and the crowd roars, but that one was just a little bit offline. Pulev doesn't have enough head movement to be an elusive target for Klitschko's power shots.
No, as you said, he leans back with his hands down, which when you're 6'4.5", oftentimes you're tall enough to get away with that. But against a taller fighter, you remain in the line of punches. Here Pulev now getting close enough to Klitschko in that clinch where he has an arm free and he feels he's out of danger to land something, anything to disrupt Klitschko, including those behind-the-head rabbit punches.
You wonder at what point Tony Weeks might begin talking to Pulev about rabbit punching. So far, he's letting them get away with it. Prior to tonight, Pulev had been down once in his career, last fall against Joey Abel. Now 2 more knockdowns to go with that by Klitschko in round 1.
That second knockdown was really a continuation of the first. It shows you just how hard Klitschko hit Pulev and how hurt Pulev was, that he went down essentially from a a shove or a tap.
And Klitschko landed another hard left hook under the chin of Pulev. Everybody talks about the jab and the right hand. In fact, his most efficiently effective punch, when he uses it, may be that left hook. And he can hook off the jab like few heavyweights have done. Yeah,
Klitschko is just an excellent offensive fighter. Defensively, as you're seeing here he is being held, but defensively, he relies on his height, reach, and clinching frequently in recent fights.
In the books.
Standing there. I know you don't want to move back, but moving in circle, pivoting and start boxing, that's not moving backwards. He's trying to make an ugly fight. He's trying to get you on fouls. He's trying to cut you some type of way. He's trying to fight really dirty. You better than that. You don't have to fight dirty. Start boxing this dude, up and down with your jab. He don't know when the punch is coming if you start dressing him up and down with your jab. Start boxing. Use that beautiful rhythm you got. This is your canvas. Use the rhythm you got. He can't keep up with your rhythm. Start moving. Just up and down with the jab. Keep the right hand so you can shoot straight down the middle. You will never see it coming. See it.
Round 3 begins. Jonathan Banks telling Wladimir Klitschko, don't fall prey to the foul fest. You don't need to do that. Move in a circle, use your feet, set him up for clean shots.
Yeah, I think the geometry of the fight is important for Klitschko rather than just in and out, which sometimes his opponent can dictate. When he fights on an angle, when he turns his opponent and fights in the circle behind that jab, very little Pulev should be able to do.
Particularly given that Pulev holds his hands in such a way as to allow an opening for Klitschko's jab. Pulev holding his left hand out and waving it in a circle allows Klitschko to simply ram the jab straight up the middle of Pulev's defense.
Yeah, that style of kind of snaking it around like that is a kind of smoke and mirrors style. I don't know how effective he expects it to be against Klitschko, who mechanically then has the advantage straight up the middle, as Pulev's left hand is not there really for defense for straight punches.
Body shot landed for Pulev. Klitschko doesn't throw many body shots. In 12 rounds against Alexander Povetkin, a stunning statistic, CompuBox found Klitschko landing no body shots. But when you're 6 feet 6 inches tall, it may not be in your best interest to invite counter punches that way.
Necessity is the mother of invention, and why should Klitschko have to invent a
hard
body
right
attack?
hand by Klitschko momentarily wobbled Pulev again.
When he can do that. That's just standing in the middle of the ring, both guys boxing, and one guy able to land that kind of shot.
A left hook and a push, and Pulev is down for the 3rd time. And that left hook is proving unstoppable for Wladimir Klitschko.
Hey, come here. Okay, here we go.
Tony Weeks going to let him keep going. Pulev keeps insisting, I'm not hurt. Klitschko's knocking him down more or less at will.
Yeah, and like in the first round where the second knockdown was a continuation of the first, that first right hand in this round, Pulev never got his legs back. He's just starting to bounce a little now.
A bloody mark under the left eye now of Kubrat Pulev, perhaps the product of the Klitschko right hand.
Pulev has been reduced to rabbit punching Klitschko. That's the only thing he's done in this fight.
I was just about to say, his best punches are landed in clinches on the back of Klitschko's head. Round 3 concludes.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Good. Super. Look.
There's the Klitschko right hand. You know what I mean? To stand in the middle of the ring and be able to land a right hand that cleanly that produces a knockdown. The other guy's hands are up. He's anticipating an attack, and it doesn't matter. And by the way, Jim, that follow-up left hook, you were right. That was a real hard shot, not like the first round where Pulev just went down because his legs were still wobbly.
Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim, I got it 30-24, 3 rounds to nothing, Wladimir Klitschko. Now, just like you said, you got to give him an extra 2 points for the 2 knockdowns in round 1. You got to give him an extra point for the knockdown in round 3. I mean, that's a huge 6-point lead Vladimir's got. Jim, Kubrat Pulev, surprisingly, to me at least, is recuperating very well from these knockdowns. I mean, every time he's got up, he seems able to fight, you know, and he is fighting. So at least we're getting something out of the opponent. 3-0, Wladimir Klitschko.
And as you were speaking, Harold, Pulev landed a right and a left, 2 of the harder shots that Klitschko has taken in his last several fights.
I agree with Harold. In both the first and third round, Pulev went down, especially in the first, with the look of a guy who was not going to be able to continue, but here we are on the 4th, and he had a little moment of success earlier in this round. Once upon a time, Jim, if a guy could show Klitschko that he could take his power and still be in front of him by the 5th round and still be willing to take risks, we saw in several fights Klitschko didn't fare well. Klitschko collapsed, but that was a long time ago and almost a different lifetime as a fighter for Wladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, he hasn't really had an uncertain moment since getting knocked to Barrel Williamson in the fight after the Lehman Brewster fight, the last time he lost in 2004, more than 10 years ago. Other than, of course, the 3 knockdowns against Sam Peter in 2005.
And Emmanuel Stewart was able to talk him through those shaky moments.
And by the way, Pulev must have seen the Peter fight because one of Samuel Peter's knockdowns was clearly the result of a punch to the back of Klitschko's head.
I mentioned to begin the fight that sometimes Klitschko opponents come in confident, and after a couple rounds that's beaten out of them. Doesn't look like Pulev has had the confidence beaten out of him in spite of 4 knockdowns in the first 3 rounds.
Three knockdowns. 2 in the first, 1 in the third.
Excuse me.
Feels like 4.
That right hand that landed, I registered that as a knockdown, Jim.
That right hand left a mark, which is still there, under the left eye of Kubrat Pulev. 30 seconds to go in round 4. Another left hook lands for Klitschko.
Stop. Let him go. Let him go.
Let's go.
And another left hook to punctuate round 4 as Klitschko continues to dominate in Hamburg, Germany. Meanwhile, November 22 from Macau, China, HBO pay-per-view brings you the welterweight showdown between Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri. November 29, Boxing After Dark returns from Omaha, Nebraska, with hometown hero Terrence Crawford defending his lightweight title against Ray Beltran. Sneaky candidate for potential Fight of the Year consideration because Beltran is a rugged, all-out warrior who will give Crawford a tussle in Omaha.
Love that matchup.
He's sitting there with his hands wide open. Only thing you got to do is keep your defense going like you're doing and just use that left hand and keep your rhythm. And you're good to go.
Передней рукой, когда поджимаешь. Не зажимай.
CompuBox count showing Klitschko throwing only 19 punches per round, but landing at a 42% connect rate and seemingly landing at will, particularly with the left hook, which has been a damaging punch along with one giant right cross in the 3rd round. Pulev, 20 of 88 so far, a 23% connect percentage. Another hard right hand for Klitschko. And Pulev continues to fight back. He's got a pretty decent chin for a guy who's been down 3 times.
Yeah, Pulev decided to fight back with the head again. I mean, that right hand that he threw landed on the back of Klitschko's head. Of course, that's part of Klitschko's defensive strategy. He only gives you the back of his head in those clinches. And so if you move your hands, your free hand, which you're supposed to do, the only way to hit him upstairs is to the back of the head.
An illegal punch, not a legal punch. Not showing up in the CompuBox numbers, for instance. German crowd chanting as 2 Eastern European-born fighters square off in the ring. Over the course of the past decade, Germans have become quite accustomed to supporting as fans guys who were born in Eastern Europe and migrated to Germany for economic opportunity. Arthur Abraham, I should say, from Romania. Both Klitschkos from Ukraine. Kubrat Pulev from Bulgaria. Most of his fights in Germany.
Klitschko opponents have to know by now that they're going to have to walk through the fire to get the win.
Hard right hand by Pulev. And the Klitschko chin holds up for the moment to that punch.
Yes, Pulev.
Down goes Pulev on another left hook. And that may be the one from which he does not get up. He's done. And it's a 5th round KO win for Wladimir Klitschko.
What you just saw was a fighter, as we were talking about Pulev's fighting spirit, that he hadn't gotten the fight beaten out of him. He never did have the fight beaten out of him. Wladimir Klitschko simply separated him from his senses. This, Jim, is why boxing is more compelling than any other sport. It's not a metaphor, it's literal. He just separated, Klitschko did, Pulev from his own will, as in Pulev's brain told his legs, get up. His legs couldn't do it.
And the right eye of Pulev, a perfect illustration of the damage that Klitschko did with that left hook. You see Vitaly Klitschko's wife on the cell phone, most likely to Hayden Panettiere, Klitschko's girlfriend, who is awaiting the birth of their 1st child. And the celebration continues in Vladimir's corner. That was an interesting moment. He was sternly challenged by the hard right hand from Pulev, and within seconds he came back and destroyed Pulev with a left hook.
Yeah, in Pulev's case, you can't say the spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. It's the spirit was willing, but the flesh was concussed.
And there's Vitaly's wife, as she continues seemingly to recover from the tension of watching the fight.
You just saw the literal imposition of one man's will over another.
And there's the left hook. And you see the look on Pulev's face as he goes down. Into the count at about 6 or 7. He made a peremptory effort to rise, and it was no go. A satisfying victory for Wladimir, who destroys once again an opponent touted coming in as a stern test, the kind of guy who might upset the apple cart. No such luck in Hamburg today. Shannon Briggs at ringside. Shannon Briggs now makes a habit of going everywhere in the world Wladimir Klitschko goes to try to challenge him to a fight. It's interesting he even got a moment of camera time, since his claim is as invalid can be.
Well, he wants to get paid. I mean, Shannon, this is a big payday if you fight the heavyweight champion of the world. And once upon a time, Briggs was the kind of guy that you really had to be careful with no matter who you were, because he was fast, he could punch, he is experienced, but you saw what Klitschko just did to a guy who, as you mentioned, Jim, some people felt had a legitimate shot of winning. It was a no contest.
Pulev landed 2 or 3 really hard shots during the course of the fight, hoping to crack that legendarily thin Klitschko chin. Couldn't be done.
You know what, in the heavyweight division, you know who doesn't have a good chin? anyone who gets hit on the chin. The whole point is to not get hit on the chin by a 250-pound guy. And Klitschko, given the style that Emanuel Steward tutored him in, now simply doesn't get hit on the chin.
Same style in which Steward tutored Lennox Lewis. A perfect technique scenario for the taller man to guard his chin simply by never allowing that chin to go past a vertical line, an imaginary line, from the front knee to the ceiling. Lennox Lewis allowed his chin to drift past that line against Oliver McCall. He hit the canvas. Emanuel Steward taught him how never to do it. And with Klitschko, same thing. That chin never goes beyond an imaginary line from the front knee to the ceiling, and that's why Kubrat Pulev and 1,000 others haven't been able to get him.
We're staring at the ceiling.
That's right. They wind up looking up. And with the Ukrainian flag draped over his shoulders, Wladimir Klitschko celebrates for the mostly German audience. Dr. Steelhammer continues to reign supreme. That's his 17th consecutive successful title defense in the heavyweight division. Joe Louis had 25, Larry Holmes had 20.
And Muhammad Ali had 19 over 3 different reigns, but really defended the title in those 2 reigns after the wins against Sonny Liston and George Foreman.
And it's Vitaly Klitschko's wife, Vladimir's sister-in-law, who's getting all of the German television on camera time that otherwise would be going to Hayden Panettiere if Hayden had chosen to come to the fight. But 8.5 months pregnant, she stayed away.
Pulev gave it his best effort, you know, but as has been the case over the last decade, no one's best is nearly good enough for Wladimir. The only real dispute as to who's been the best heavyweight over those years is his big brother, Vitaly, but Vitaly ain't fighting anymore.
Now the mayor of Kiev. And a political figure of increasing importance in their home country, Ukraine. And there's Pulev with ice on the right eye and swelling under the left eye as well. So let's take another look back at some of the action in the ring. And that's another angle of the left hook, which brought the end of the fight. Again, so much is made of the tremendous jab and the dominant right hand, but this left hook has fashioned many knockouts over the years. Ray Austin comes to mind. There have been a couple of others. And tonight, the left hook was an unstoppable punch, Max, as it accounted for 3 of the 4 knockdowns of Pulev.
Yeah,
Ladies
and the reason...
The end comes at 2 minutes, 11 seconds of round number 5. The winner by knockout victory, and still heavyweight champion of the world, Dr. Steelhammer, Wladimir Klitschko.
Final CompuBox numbers for Wladimir Klitschko against Kubrat Pulev. And you see that Klitschko landed 38 out of 89 total punches in the fight. Fighting at an extremely measured pace, being wrestled around the ring a lot of the time as the two of them repeatedly fell into clinches. Klitschko lands 43% of his overall punches, including 21 of 53 jabs, meaning that he landed at an extraordinarily high rate when he threw his power punches. Kubrat Pulev, 10 out of 64 jabs, had the nerve to try to jab with the great jabber. And power shots, Klitschko landing nearly half. Pulev, 15 out of 46. Pulev landed a couple of good, clean shots in that last round that challenged Klitschko early, Wladimir came back to knock him out.